Okay. Annually, I get the honor of opening the West River meeting for reorganization. And so I'd just like to, before I reorganize, I would love the opportunity for everybody to just introduce themselves, if that's okay. I will start. I am Bill Antone. I am the superintendent. And Crystal, if you could tell us who you are, and you all represent West River, but if you could tell us where you're elected from, that'd be great.
Crystal Corbew, elected in the town of Wyndham.
Thank you.
Drew Hazelton, Jamaica.
Thank you.
Ken McFadden, Newfane. Joe Winrick, Townsend.
Sarah Webb. I live in Brookline. I'm an at-large member.
Mike Foley, I live in Townsend, I'm an at-large member.
Leanne Gilson, I'm from Brookline.
Dana West, Jamaica.
Lindsay Bertram from Newfane.
Alec, Lawson, Townsend.
And we're also fortunate enough to have Emily Long on Zoom. Emily, can you introduce yourself?
I can hear you. Emily Long from Newfane.
Awesome. And we
Sorry, I
have
couldn't be there in person.
no problem. Well, you are quite busy. And we have three of our administrators here in person. Ladies first.
Oh, I'm Johanna Liskowski-Dope, Associate Principal at Leland Drive.
Bob Tebow, Principal at Leland Gray. Sky Chbabchik, Principal at Newbrook Elementary School and JVS, Jamaica Village School.
Thank you very much, everybody. All right, so I have a very brief thing to do, which is take nominations for the chair for the next year of the West River Education District. The way this works is you do not need to have a second. I just need somebody to make a nomination. We can have as many nominations as are wished, and then we will vote if we have multiple nominations. And, we'll vote even if we have one nomination. So with that all being said, do any board members have somebody they would like to nominate?
I'd like to nominate Alec Lawson.
All right, Al Clausen,
Nominate Drew Hazelton.
Drew Hazelton. Ken, did you have a hand up?
Good.
Okay. Anybody else? I'll pause for effect. Okay. So we have two candidates for the chair of the West River Board. After that, I will pass off the rest of the meeting to the chair of the West River Board. We can do this in multiple ways. We could simply go down the line and you can pick a name, or I can call a person's name and you can say aye.
Why don't we just do it that way?
Just call a name and do it. Okay. So the first nomination was for Al Clausen. So all those in favor of Al Clausen for chair of the West River Board, please signify by saying aye.
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 Okay. I have to count that. Thank you very much.
Want to show of hands?
All right. Let's see those hands. Okay. Ready? Nominate Al Clausen for chair of the West River Board. Please signify by saying aye slowly and raise your hand.
Aye slowly.
Okay.
Aye.
Sarah, Emily, okay. Kim?
Aye.
Okay. And all those in favor of Drew Hazelton for the chair of the West River Board, please signify by saying aye and raise your hand.
Aye. Aye.
And you can only vote once.
Lindsay? Dana? Leanne, thank you. Crystal? And Drew and Al, I haven't seen either of you vote. Are you going to both abstain, or are you each? I'm going to force you to make a choice, but you were nominated first, so you have to say a name or abstain.
Al Clausen.
Okay. And Drew,
Talking to myself in third person.
a name or abstain?
I'll abstain.
Okay.
Third person.
That's the way I do it. Congratulations, Mr. Clausen. You are now the chair of the West River Education District. And I want to thank everybody for always taking that seriously and thinking about, who can participate in those roles. And two excellent representatives of our community. So thank you both for considering it. And Al, if you want to take over the meeting, I'd appreciate it.
All right. Sounds good. me run down the list here then. So, all right, election of vice chairperson. I'll accept nominations.
I'll nominate Joe. I'll nominate Joe Winrick.
Okay. Who do you want?
I'm gonna nominate Drew.
Okay, so we have 2 nominations. Do we want to do it in the same fashion as first? Seemed to work pretty well.
Yeah.
All right, so all those in favor of Joe?
Aye.
Hi.
Aye.
Aye.
Ken's
2.
on the delay.
I'm not going to third person, I'll go. And that'll be aye. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Did you get Emily?
Okay, all those in favor of Drew?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right.
Well, wait.
Oh, sorry. All right, thank you, Joe. Since you did vote for yourself, I assume you accept?
Yes.
All right, very good. Election of clerk. I'll accept nominations.
Mike. Nominate Mike.
Thank you.
He's been doing it long. What does the clerk do?
All right. Pausing for effect. That's good, I like that. Pause for effect. All right, seeing no other nominations, we will still vote. All those in favor of Mike?
Aye.
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 Okay, vote is unanimous. Thank you, Mike. Thank you. All right, authorized signatures. Generally, the officers. Any agreement, disagreement?
No, keep it the same.
Keep it the same. Okay. Paper of record.
Our default for paper of record is the Brattleboro Reformer. It's a daily, and so anytime we have to get a message out, we do that. But we also use the Commons when it makes sense to get publicity.
Move to keep it the same.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. You know what, I apologize, we did not do that with authorized signatures, take a vote on that, so, which I believe we should.
Yep.
So I'll entertain a motion for that.
So moved?
Second,
Second.
thank you. All those in favor say aye.
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 Thank you, motion carries. Meeting times and dates.
I think we should change that. I think Monday is the worst night to have meetings, reason being, because we always see holidays seem to fall on the Monday, or, you know, they'll try to make a 3-day weekend out of it, and then we either have to move, you know what I mean? So I'm suggesting another date, and I would recommend consulting with Bill on what day would be a good day.
Let's see, so, thanks.
So WCSU would be Wednesdays, right?
So if you don't do Mondays, so the only other, Marlboro does the third or fourth Thursday, and Wyndham, do they do the second or the third Tuesday?
Or Tuesday.
Third Tuesday. Everything else is Mondays. The third Tuesday, right? Yeah. Yeah.
So you could do a
So you could do.
second Tuesday.
Yeah. I mean,
Doesn't have to be the third or the week.
whatever, you know, whatever works for you guys. A lot of people, Mondays work, so that's why it's been done that way. You're currently scheduled at Monday at 7 o'clock on the third Monday of the month. Right. But you guys can pick any day you want.
Which this is the fourth Monday of the month. Just pointing that out.
Yes. As you said, because of.
Because of a holiday.
And a holiday, yes. Any other thoughts? Any agreement on that?
How about Wednesday?
I have a thought.
Go ahead, Emily.
As long as you do the last Wednesday.
Thank you. I recognize the request and the reasons behind it, but I would still prefer Mondays. Just wanted to say.
Okay. And Drew, you said Wednesday? Is that as an option?
Right in the middle of the week.
Doesn't
You're being
work.
facetious.
No, I think
No,
it's.
for real? Yeah. Okay.
Wednesdays are fine as long as it's not the fourth Wednesday of the month for me.
Right, right.
That's the WCSU.
Wednesday could work for me.
So it could be in the third week.
It could be the first, the second, or the third Wednesday.
Second.
And there's not a lot of
Wednesday.
conflicts on Wednesdays.
Well, there is for me. First and third are for me.
So second works?
Second works.
Second Wednesday?
Second Wednesday.
Any other thoughts?
Wednesdays are awesome because I don't have the childcare shuffle.
I move we move it to Wednesdays, second Wednesday of the month.
Does
Is
it
it-
work with the facilitator? Would we keep those meetings on Mondays? Would we do those meetings, because right now we're doing every other Monday, right? So would we do a Monday and then a Wednesday? Or are we gonna switch everything to Wednesdays, and if that
Right now,
impacts
you have the
anybody?
first Monday of the month solely focused on long-term planning.
So we'll still have a Monday either way, unless we also change that.
We've worn most of those, so I think we need
I think
to keep
people
those
are
where they are.
used to that rhythm now.
Yeah.
So yes, you could do the first Monday of the month focused on long-term planning, and you could do the second Wednesday of the month,
We can-
right? Second Wednesday,
Yeah,
right?
Give it
second
9
Wednesday.
days,
Second Wednesday, which would be,
9 days after.
Feels okay to me. If that's better with people, I don't mind, that's how I feel about it.
all right, so Ken,
Ken,
you were
you
gonna make
making
a
that
motion?
I move to move the meetings to the second Wednesday of the month, move our regular meeting
Yeah.
to the second Wednesday of the month at 7 o'clock.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, all right. Discussion, motion maker?
Oh,
Okay. Anybody else?
I was just thinking we could change long-term planning to the second Wednesday after October. We got this crunch until October to get stuff done, and then after that, we could,
Good plan.
and then we could change it so it's all on Wednesday.
All in line. Okay. All right, any other discussion? I think the only thing I would want to understand is would it be starting next month? I assume from here on out. That's
Close the meeting tonight and come back in a couple days.
couple of weeks.
I got a we got a WCSU.
It would be May 10th. May 10th would be the next meeting. May 10th. May 10th. No, May 11th. Right? May 11th? So you want to check?
Yeah, 11.
Don't check your calendar. It's-
Yeah, don't even look at mine, there's too much happening there. Just be overwhelmed.
It would start on May 11th.
now just to ask, would that cause any conflicts in the near term? Should that be pushed out a month?
There's nothing
or-
happening here already then, is there?
On Wednesdays.
Wednesday, May 11th.
All
Or in
Wednesdays,
general.
yeah. Third, what did you say,
Typically
second
not in the
Wednesday?
evenings. Not in the
Okay.
evenings, so.
We're not like double booking the room,
Not that worried.
okay.
I have some pull room to make it happen.
You know what, guy?
I know a guy.
Oh, Lori Garland's got a hand.
Yeah, I was just gonna point out it'll probably take a month to catch up for AP approvals, just moving the date around like that, but it's not a problem. I just wanna make sure you understand, we probably won't approve next on the 10th or 11th.
Got it. Is everybody okay with that? Good, okay. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Was that an aye? All right, unanimous, aye. Now move to the second Wednesday of each month at 7 p.m.
7 p.m. Got it.
All right, appointment of truant officer.
I recommend that we use the Wyndham County Sheriff. That is who we currently use.
So moved.
Seconded.
All right, any discussion? Seeing none? All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries. Thank you. Unanimously. WCSU Policy Committee member.
So we historically have somebody from our policy committee be on that policy committee. Mike is the current representative. He is the current chair of the West River Policy Committee and serves on that WCSU Policy Committee.
I'll nominate Mike.
I'll second him.
All right. Any discussion? Seeing none? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And WCSU representatives, West River Education District gets 6 slots. Raise your hand if you're currently serving. Emily, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're not the 6th? All right, good. Let's get 6.
Are we doing this again? We're missing one?
Your meeting's on Wednesday. The 4th Wednesday of the month is in general.
Yeah, this Wednesday came in.
So we need 6 representatives. 6 representatives.
Yeah, no, but you'll do it.
All right. Let's do those names again. So we've got
Drew, Al, Mike, Ken. Oh, I know, it was Connor,
Oh.
right?
And
Yes. Drew, Al, Mike, Ken, Joe.
Emily.
Thank you. Okay, that's the slate that you would need. Someone want to make that motion?
So moved.
Seconded.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
For your service.
I gotta get you all the stuff. Wednesday.
All right.
Okay.
Current/new board members. So let's see. I think we're all fairly current here except for one person. Sarah, welcome to the board. I know we said it at the last meeting, but again, thank you very much for joining. Although, I mean, if we want to say Drew as well, in a different capacity.
Everything old is new again.
Yeah.
Hey, Crystal.
Not that we're calling you old.
Crystal. Crystal.
Yeah, Crystal's new.
Oh,
Crystal's new.
We're just so used to
yeah,
seeing
right.
her.
I've
I'm
seen you
just on
forever.
that side usually.
Yes, that's right, you're really serious. No, I apologize. So, yes, you're our new board members. And thank you, everybody, as Lindsay said, for serving. Really appreciate it. That concludes the board reorganization. All right. Let's move on to board norms. Our board norms are to maintain our focus, communicate respectfully, be present, keep the board productive and effective, and respect the agenda. Any changes to the agenda, additions, updates? Are you sure? Okay. All right.
I just kind of expected Paul
Oh, yes.
under correspondence to be here.
Good point. Yes,
Is
I
he
do
not
not see him. Maybe I see him out in Zoom land. I don't believe so. Okay. Do we want to push it to the next meeting?
Is there a representative from West River Valley, 100% renewable, that knows about the correspondence that's been sent, that would like to speak on behalf?
Okay.
Okay, well then I think the requests of the board deserve an engaged discussion. So if it's okay with the board, I'll reach out to Paul Patus, who provided this, and put it on the, not May 16th,
May 11th.
May 11th, which is not that far from now.
Okay. On to members of the public. If there is something that we do not have currently on the agenda, please let us know and bring it to our attention now so we can speak to it. Otherwise, we'll get to it when we are in that discussion. All right, seeing none, moving on to student reports, and I'm looking around. Any of our softball game? Oh, yes, sorry.
Maybe here later.
Okay, we can come back to that then. Great. All right, so new business, WCSU Jedi, Justice, Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion.
So I asked for this to be put on the agenda for the board's edification. We were contacted by the Windham County NAACP, and they were interested in finding out more about how Leland and Gray in particular, West River in general, approach equity, diversity, and inclusion. And so I asked our two co-facilitators of our supervisory union organization, the Jedi group, to meet with those representatives and share what we were doing. And I thought it was appropriate that if I was directing somebody in the SU to meet with an outside group, that I should let the board understand what was being shared so that you guys were all informed. So I asked for that to be on the agenda today, and I asked Mr. Tabachnik, who is one of our co-facilitators for that group, to come tonight and just give you guys just verbally an idea of the work, why they're doing the work, why we are doing the work, and just to keep you all informed. I realize that you don't want to be surprised when you bump into somebody in the post office or grocery store about things that are happening, and so I just wanted to make sure that you knew that the NAACP reached out, that we responded. Also, Principal Tebow met with representatives as well. So I just asked Mr. Tabachnik if he could give us an update on Wednesday, the 27th, of which Drew will get to join. The group is going to be making an updated presentation to the WCSU in general because it's a WCSU committee. But I thought it was appropriate that we keep you well informed. So without further ado, Mr. Tabachnik.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you, members of the board. A couple of years ago, we started talking about this work and the work that we felt needs to be done in the district and across the SU. And one of our SU CIP goals, and one of the CIP goals it's in, CIP is a continuous improvement plan. So it's a process we go through every year to make our schools better. Part of our plan had a goal by 2023, 100% of WCSU schools will demonstrate positive school culture as evidenced by a transformation of adult beliefs and actions. That's in all the CIPs. And so we were responding to that as a goal, but we were also responding in terms of our work and our effort to Vermont, to Act 1 and to the WCSU equity policy, which is still in place, C29. And we wanted to establish a long-term mission and vision for diversity, equity, and inclusion in all of our school communities. And we have recently put together this Jedi, Justice, Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion team, which at this point it's 23 of us with I think 6 students from high school and middle school age students. We meet on Thursdays once a month. And our work has been really, I love our work. It's been really fun and fascinating. We're working with a group from Northampton, Mass. Called the Educational Collaborative. And 3 of their staff members come and lead us through what is, in effect, I consider to be just really high-end professional development. We started by taking a class through the Center for Creative Leadership, which is the same group that has. I'm going to Waddington as part of as a personal professional development training that is paid for by a grant here in Vermont. And the school, the Center for Creative Leadership, is the same group that we took this online course. And we did that for a month in September and October. And it was awesome. It was really about bias awareness. So really learning how our biases are impacting the decisions we're making and the choices we're making, especially at work, especially as a public servant, as it relates to the choices I make in a diverse community. Again, I mean, this is work that I love doing, and our team is really together. We had a meeting right before break, on Thursday before break, and as it turns out, we couldn't get enough people there, so we postponed until we're meeting again this Thursday, which I'm looking forward to. We've got all our meetings all laid out. The funds are all split costs between each of the districts. And our mission is to develop and foster educational excellence and opportunity for all learners through collaboration and leadership. And that's really what we're going for, and I believe that we are going to make really nice improvements. What I would hope to see would happen would be that we'd unpack policy C29 and then report back to the boards and have you guys, just because I believe that, and I think we all believe, that it's really important that we're very, very open and honest about this kind of work we're doing so that we get as many eyes on it as possible. Because as we all aware, we're all bringing our own baggage to every discussion. So, I came from a background in diversity. I was a diversity educator at the high school in Brattleboro for 5 years. It's something that I really enjoy, and this work is impacting my work every day. So I want to say thank you, and thank you to Bill for assigning me the role, because it's something that I feel is really in my wheelhouse. I work with Wayne Kermensky. He's an excellent man. He's the principal at the Marlboro School. So he and I are the what we're doing is just making it happen. The people we're working with from the collaborative are the ones that are leading us through the training. Does anyone have any questions?
I do.
Yep.
So you said that there's students on this Jedi group that are middle school and high school. So I'm interested to know how those kids get picked to be on this group, and what is the diversity among those kids? What is the ethnicities of those kids on that group?
Well, I would feel it would be inappropriate for me to talk about their ethnicities.
There's a less than 11.
Yeah. But I will say, but I can't tell you about our process.
White children, or what's the diversity I'm asking?
I can't tell you about our process. We had a hard time recruiting, and we weren't getting any kids to come. So we asked Taggart Phillips, who's our well, she's got an interesting role. She's a health teacher here and the PE teacher at Newbrook. And she's a really well-loved person. And she started a group where kids were coming to her to meet, and then she was bringing them to our meetings. And I think we've had 6 kids at one meeting. We also have a couple of middle school kids from Marlboro School who attend as well.
How many kids are there from Leland and Gray that attend?
4 last time. And 4 from Leland and Gray and 2 from Marlboro.
I'm just curious as how that word got out, because it's the first I've heard of it. I never knew kids were allowed to go. My kids have never mentioned it, so I'm just curious as to how.
We began the recruitment with an email to all students asking who was interested to respond, and as Scott said, there was minimal response to that. I think a lot of kids didn't understand what it was. So we did another one and then had a little bit more twinkling, and then really it wasn't until we got Taggart involved to kind of go out and try to connect with kids and figure out how to get them, and the numbers really grew.
And what also we did is Bob was nice enough to invite me to a staff meeting, because what we realized is without a strong staff person behind the process, it might not engender a whole lot of interest. So I came to a staff meeting and talked and then we still didn't have any action, but then when Taggart got involved, it really took off, and we're really excited about it, because what the whole process really is about collecting street data, which means that our preconceptions about what changes need to happen aren't as important as the conceptions of the kids on the street. So that was the whole idea about it. We went through the training with only 2 children in October. That was early on. But I'm really excited about the direction we're going, and I think it's really important work, especially in a community like this one, which there are people throughout, but they're very spread out, and they often don't connect, in the ways we want them to. So. Does the board have any questions for me? Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I just raised my hand. So okay. I'm Wendell Bowl from Brookline, and I am the NAACP representative that keeps being mentioned here. And I have the backing of our president, Stefan Gillum, and our executive committee. We became very concerned about the the culture, the both ethnicity, racial equity culture of Leland and Gray through just happenstance hearsay. And I called, had a very good meeting with Mr. Tebow, and he, first of all, on the phone, he did refer me to the Jedi, to Mr. Tabajnik and Mr. Kaminsky. I met with them. We had a good meeting, but our concerns are bigger than what we're hearing, and I think we're going to keep pursuing our concern. NAACP here in Windham County, thank goodness, is a constructive, good organization. Not only because I'm part of it, but it really goes about things in a way of trying to learn, of trying to inform ourselves, and then trying to change where we feel there's a need for more equity and more inclusion and diversity. I had a very good meeting on, it was Zoom, with Mr. Tabajnik and Mr. Minsky. And then when I saw it was on the agenda, I did try to get copies of the policies and procedures of Jedi, and they're not available, and that's a little bothersome to me. I couldn't get them from anywhere, and I finally got a notice from one school saying there's nothing in writing.
Oh, that's correct.
Which concerned me a little bit, 2 years worth of work, and such an important, again, it falls within the NAACP realm of wanting to learn and to inform ourselves, and I was trying to get at the basis of what this was. I don't want to pull the rug out from under you, Mr. Tabajnik, because you made a wonderful statement in our Zoom meeting. He said, I really wish there was more training for teachers to handle the incidents when they occur in the classroom or in the gym. Not that a report will be made and the kid is left hanging. There's no teachable moment that happens when the slur, the N-word, which is being used in this school, and words like milk chocolate to kids. And when that occurs, it's reported somewhere, and the kid doesn't know, and it's not handled in a way that's teachable. And I think that's our NAACP concern and the piece that we're going to be focusing on primarily. And as I said before, we're constructive. I hope we're helpful. We've been in the past, and I see that as our role and why I'm here. I want to ride herd on this. That's me. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything from the board? Any questions? And anybody else?
So eventually, there will be policies or something written?
Well, we will have an iterative process that we bring back to the boards, because we don't have any power.
Yeah.
But we want to bring back solid, concrete recommendations.
Something for us to
mull on and participate in, but we welcome the partnership. You can always contact me, and I will arrange to make sure that you are in touch as you were with.
And we worked in the past.
Absolutely,
Okay.
yeah. No. So, no, please don't hesitate.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, you got two on.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Boy, Stephanie,
go ahead.
Hi there. I'm glad that you're all talking about this. Some of you know I have a child, because I've had two children of color at Leland and Gray. I'm very concerned about what I've heard that's happened with these students. It was also happening with my son, who is no longer at Leland and Gray, and is now in Brattleboro. A couple of thoughts I have. To be honest, we've also had racist incidents happen in Brattleboro, and this is a really tough year. Generally, people are not, they're not censoring themselves across the board, and that goes for kids too. But I have seen Brattleboro handle the situation fairly well, and it seems like it's tamped it down relatively quickly in ways that I'm not hearing is happening at Leland and Gray. And I know that you can't specifically state what happens to kids when there is an incident. I know in Brattleboro they use restorative justice that would bring kids together to talk over the issue. That can be really helpful. They are suspending kids who are being racist flat out. There's really a no tolerance policy. Bringing parents in, getting everybody involved pretty quickly. I'm not sure if that's happening at Leland and Gray, but it's feeling, from what I'm hearing, it doesn't sound like it is. Now I might be wrong, but I just really want to encourage. I'm happy to hear about the Jedi program. I think that's like a long-term, way to address the issue long-term. But there's a lot of damage that could happen between now and when a program like that can really change the school culture. Also, it's, from what you said, it's unclear if there aren't really people of color involved in the Jedi program. I'm not sure. I'm curious how that'll turn out. I'm excited that you're doing something, but I think something needs to be done more quickly to help the kids who are right now experiencing racism at Leland and Gray. So those are the things I said. Oh, and also, again, I've said this to Bill and Bob. You've heard this from me before, but I would love to see Leland and Gray hiring staff of color. I think that would go a really long way. And not just, like saying, well, we would hire somebody, but actually actively recruiting staff of color would help the kids that are there feel like they are represented, they have people, adults who understand them, and, might have a better sense of what they're going through in those situations. Thanks.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Jenny Kessler.
Hi, Jenny.
Hi. I'm also glad we're talking about this. I have a son in pre-K who's going into kindergarten next year, and as a parent, I've kind of been wondering, like, what I'm curious about what's happening. I can't figure out how to take my hand down. It's making me crazy. Okay. I've been wondering, like, what happens at the school for children. So it sounds like the Jedi group is aimed at staff at this point and getting staff trained, and I understand that, like Stephanie said, I think that can be a long, difficult process. I think all of this is difficult, and the most that we can throw at it, the better. So yeah, as a parent, I've been wondering what is done with students to help them learn anti-racist thinking, and I know that Townsend, I've seen, anti-bullying posters, and I know there was some anti-bullying work going on. But I'm wondering if there's any kind of outright anti-racist work going on and celebration of diversity, and how we can learn more about that. Like, again, this is the first I'm hearing about Jedi, and I would love to just be much more informed about everything, and this in particular.
Thank you. Would you like to attend the meetings, Scotty? When are the meetings?
They are Thursdays.
Thursdays.
And the next one is...
Yeah, I was going to ask if that, I know there's teachers on it, I know there's students on it. Is it open to the community? Are there community members on it? Are there parents?
That's a really good question. We recruited at the beginning, we filled our team, like our slots, but I don't know how our facilitators would feel about people joining in the midpoint.
I think that's a good idea to bring it up on Thursday.
Yeah, I'll definitely bring it up, and if, I'll get your name from someone, and I'll reach out.
I'll email you.
Please do, I'm at Newbrook.
Jenny Kessler.
And could anyone speak to, is there any like active work going on around students, like building community or teaching students about anti-racism or anything like that, or not yet? Is it planned for the future? Are there discussions about, I haven't been to any big board meeting, like I don't know if this has been brought up before.
That's a great question, Jenny. No, we have not instituted anything, any formal curriculum or specificity of direction to our teachers and staff of that communication. That is what we're working on, but we are not there yet.
Good.
Scotty.
We have traditionally at Newbrook had a diversity week, which is just kind of a holdover for me from some of my past positions where I've always tried to bring in outside speakers for a week and do activities with kids, hoping to stretch them out in lots of different ways. With COVID, we didn't do it last year, but we'd always done it. That's kind of token education rather than an infused or a written curriculum. So, but that is something that we've done.
Stephanie, go ahead.
Hi, thanks. The Southern Poverty Law Center has some really great curriculum that's free, that's available for schools. So if you haven't looked into that, I highly encourage it. That is something you could really do to shift the whole dynamic at school starting in the new year or something like that. So they have great resources. Very much encourage you to check that out.
Stephanie, can you
I think that something needs to be done really quickly, not like, I know with school board stuff and being on school board, it can take a long time to address things, but I would really encourage you to really, move forward on this as quickly as you can, because it's really impacting students' ability to learn.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Once you're done with this.
Oh, sir.
Yeah.
Can you please state your name?
I'm tempted to say I can't tell you for privacy reasons, but in light of some of the responses I hear, but it's Stanley Noga from Brookline. When one reviews the law regarding discrimination, harassment, hazing, bullying, it's clear that the school board is supposed to be the authority in the matter. And it's the school board that provides the policy and makes sure that the administration enforces it. Is that a posture or viewpoint that this board holds? Or do you get all your information from administration and then proceed from there? Because that's a key point. That's a key point.
Absolutely. I mean, we do have policies in place. We have recommended policies at the state level and national level, which we adopt if we, so choose. And of course, we have something on hazing, harassment, and bullying. Is it enough? I think it's a great question, and I think that's definitely a part of Jedi and why we are so adamant about keeping up the good work with the Jedi program. So yeah, I think yes, policy and enacting and enforcing policy is certainly important.
May I follow up?
Sure.
Are you aware that the director of the Agency of Education for the state of Vermont sent out way back in 2014, 2015, when the process started, a model policy as well as a model procedures for each school to adopt, and that each policy at a minimum was to be adopted. You could make more. I note on both the WRED and the Wyndham Central Supervisory Union website, there is only a copy of the policy and not a copy of the procedure. Are you in the works of making sure that any individual or parent or student that has an issue can refer to that to be aware of what the policies and procedures are? And I might even follow up with that, is that my understanding of the statute is that whether it be verbally or whether it be in writing, the staff or administrator or janitor, whoever hears that, should initiate an investigation to be completed over a 5-day period if possible. Reality says that may take longer. And from what I hear, that does not appear to be a standard process. And when that complaint is filed, I believe at the end of that 5-year period, if I understand the statute correctly, the guardian or parent should be receiving a notice written in the mail along with a copy of the policy and procedures so that they're aware of what their options are in the future. My understanding is that that currently does not happen with regard to the people who have already spoken and regard to what I understand we have happening to a citizen and their child in Brookline. So would you care to address either of those aspects?
Would you allow me to? Yeah.
Oh, I'm not stopping you, go right ahead.
Oh, okay. Yes, this board and every board in the supervisory union has adopted the state mandated hazing, harassment, and bullying policy. And it also came with procedures. We post policies, we don't post procedures, but we do follow the exact procedure that came with that law change. I can't speak to any individual case of how they were handled, but you are correct. There is a very detailed way to go about the policy, and I, as the superintendent, am ultimately responsible for making sure that that happens. And there, as you mentioned, there are multiple avenues for double checking that and filing complaints. And we do direct all of our administrators to follow that policy. And ultimately, I am responsible if that doesn't happen.
That's correct. And as I understand it, if a parent or student comes to you indicating there's a dissatisfaction with an outcome or result or lack of follow-up, that one of your duties is to advise that parent that they have an ability to have an independent investigation done through the Department of Education, who assigns an independent investigator to look at the site or the issue. I understand that that has not happened. Is that a reasonable statement?
I would say, I can't speak to any individual specific cases, but I will say that in my career of 6 years as superintendent, I have participated in many third-party investigations following that exact procedure that you said. But I cannot comment on any particular case of any particular individual.
Go ahead, Drew.
So it sounds to me like this board has adopted the model policy.
That's correct.
So our policy is up to date as far as we know.
That's correct.
And we do have a procedure in place, and we're utilizing that procedure.
That's correct.
Are there updated procedure steps that we need to be looking at? Is there,
It has not been updated since the original 2014, 2015. And so we have kept that process in place.
thank you.
One more question.
Yes, sir.
if I may. If I, as an attendee, were to compare the current policy with that which was the model policy recommended by the prior director of the State Agency of Education, and note differences between your policy and the model policy, how would you suggest one go about letting you know that, short of taking up time here on screen?
You can simply contact me and point those out to
Okay,
me.
thank you.
Apple Gifford.
Apple Gifford.
Oh.
Hi, thank you. My name is Apple Gifford. I'm a resident of Newfane. And I'm wondering what training your faculty and staff are required to do regarding anti-racism, anti-bias, any of those professional development trainings, are any required of your faculty and staff?
Last in the 2021 year, we had all staff take part in the Kirwan Institute. What's the appropriate term?
Anti-bias.
Implicit bias.
Thank you.
Implicit bias, yes.
Implicit bias training. And annually, as our board member pointed out, we do hazing, harassment, and bullying training on the policy that the gentleman in the audience mentioned. So that happens annually. And when we began our work in this journey, we started with the Kirwan Institute Implicit Bias, which led us to the creation of the Jedi team, which is currently in practice. Those are the trainings that annually HHB is done. And in 2021, we, throughout the entire SU, did implicit bias training. And then we have representatives that come to the Jedi team, which did the beyond bias training. As of right now, those are the global trainings that have been done.
Do you have a plan to include any anti-racist training in the future?
That is what the Jedi team is exploring, and which we will have an iterative process to bring back to the board and gain their support and understanding for what path we decide to choose to go into.
And could you just remind me how many adults are in the Jedi group?
There would be 18 adults and 6 students.
Thank you.
Can I just add something?
Yes, please.
I'm totally in favor of what's being said about the training and the way the training's going and the words to describe the training, but kids are still being very hurt. They're being hurt. I'm not talking about any individuals, any families. I'm talking about kids that are getting impacted, and their learning is impacted by the injuries, by the feeling of worthlessness and injuries they're receiving. And can we move somehow, I guess that's where NAACP is coming, to do the training, to handle the stuff when it happens. I'm 86. I'm a very old school social worker, and worked for years in a middle school where when something happened in a French class and the N-word was used, the teacher would stop the class and use it as a teachable moment. What did you say? Do you know the implication? What do you mean by that? You know, they would draw out the sense. I heard somebody over there asking very sensibly, what do the kids understand about what they're doing and how to learn? And that's what I see missing. I think that's what, and I'm not in the school, so I'm dependent on you, and I acknowledge that, and I like that. I worked with the school for many years. And, but I need to see some impact on when it happens, that the kid, it's a teachable moment for the kids, from the staff and the kid. I think that's what NAACP is looking for, some teachable impact on the racial equity and fiscal equity, every other equity. So I guess that's what I'm asking. I like hearing about the training and what's happening, but I want to see it happening with the individual kids right here. Thank you.
No, thank you.
Okay.
Apple Gifford again. Yes, go ahead, Apple.
Hi, thanks. Me again. Sorry, sometimes it takes me a little bit to process information, and I don't want to hold up time while I'm doing that. I just want to say that I'm a high school educator, and based on what I hear is going on at Leland and Gray currently, or has been going on, I'm wondering why there isn't more urgency in getting the trainings in place, and why you're committed to sort of an iterative process of exploring whether it's necessary. I think as a resident of the area, when I hear that those things are happening, I would expect a more kind of an urgent response or a plan, I guess, at this point for what the response is going to be. So I'm just wondering why there isn't more of a plan in place, given some of the things that we've been hearing.
I would say we're in the process of trying to make a plan that is going to be sustainable, is going to be supported, and is going to be able to be carried out by people that are trained. And as of today, we are not there yet. I understand the feeling that we are not being urgent enough, but we will take all this input and think about our next steps.
Yeah, based on other schools in the area, I would just say that the district is pretty far behind in responding to these things and having a plan in place. There are so many resources available regionally to bring people in to train teachers. They're so ready to do it, and you really have your choice of organizations to bring in. So I just think more urgency would be great. Thank you.
Thanks, Al. Bucky, go ahead.
Yes, thank you. As a long time ago graduate and alumni of Leland and Gray, as my wife is an alumni of Leland and Gray a year later, I just want to support and to urge and encourage the urgency of the situation. I know that we just can't go into it willy-nilly, that there does need to be planning, but just to look at long-term processes, we need, it sounds very much to me, I'm not involved with the day-to-day situations, but that something is needed immediately. And I would encourage the board to support that and the administration to take part in that. On the one hand, I am very glad to hear this discussion tonight, but on the other hand, as an alumni and a resident of the West River Valley for a few years, I'm quite saddened and disturbed by the situation which has led to this discussion. And I hope that we can find meaningful and, as Bill says, sustainable ways of countering any of the untoward situations that our students are experiencing, because I had quite a number of years of seeing students that graduated from high school coming into college education, and it is fairly obvious of those that have had negative impacts in their education process. So I would encourage and strongly support your work in this area, and as quickly as possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Bucky. And I think I saw Jenny next.
Yep.
And then Juliet.
Yeah, I just want to echo that as a parent. It feels really scary to me, and really yucky, and like makes me really scared about my kid going to a K-12 school here. Obviously it's like we struggle with diversity in this area, which is bums me out like in general. So it's really, I think, important to have education around that. I do what I can at home, but that's like a really, really important part of schooling to me, is learning how to build community and, love everyone and respect everyone. And like this is showing me that that's not happening in school, or it's not happening effectively enough. And that feels like an urgent problem to me. And I was just also wondering, like, maybe you do or don't want to speak to this, but what's happening at, like, how is this, are you guys having like staff meetings about this? Do teachers know what happened and why, and are people discussing what to do? Like, is it seen as a big problem at the school? What happened recently? And if not, just to echo the urgency that others are stating.
Thanks, Jenny. Did you want to?
No.
No? Okay. Juliet.
Hi. So I'm a resident of Newfane and a parent of kids who are too young for LNG, but I just want to chime in briefly and pick up that what Bucky and Alec both said about urgency. And I understand that this is a long arc and you all are doing important work that is difficult, and there's a lot of different things that need to be balanced and people need to be properly trained. All of that makes sense. At the same time, I wonder if in the interim, while we're doing this training, if it's not possible to apply whatever existing policies the school district has around bullying and harassment in general to racist speech and hate speech specifically, to improve the moment-to-moment lives of the kids who are currently in the school system. Because I think the concern right now is that we have kids who are actively being bullied, and we have had kids who are actively being bullied in the recent past and have now been pulled from the school. So what can the school do, the teachers and the staff do in this moment to make those interactions better? And presumably we've been doing this for a long time, right? So it doesn't have to be racism specific right now as we work out the way that we're going to handle those problems. But at least if we can apply a broad bullying lens to these interactions, we can try to improve these kids' educational experience.
Thank you, Juliet. Go ahead, Mike.
I'm wondering if it makes sense to have Bill or his designee maybe target some schools that may have had more experience with this and kind of reach out and get a feel for best practices in this area of how they're handling it. Just wanted to throw that out there.
They might have had to deal with the situation right off the bat. And everybody's given us the sense of urgency behind this, and I know we want to take small baby steps with this to make sure we do it right the first time. But I'm sensing everybody here tonight is over this one issue. Some of us on the board haven't been informed of this issue yet. So just wanted to throw it out there. I'm sensing this. You all know more than I do. So let us catch up a little bit.
That's a nice, fair statement.
It's a sad statement.
Yes, yes.
That you aren't aware of what's happening in your district.
It's very honest.
Well, I don't meddle into the day-to-day operations. I do hear things, but I'm not sitting here watching over Bill's shoulder to make sure he's doing his job. And he's not watching over Bob, and I'm not on Bob's shoulder watching his job. Sometimes it sounds like I got it, but I'm not.
I think with so many people speaking up on this subject, this is something that this board ought to know about. If there's such a problem in this school, this board should know and not be, oh, this is the first I've heard of it. It shocks me.
Well, then the parents aren't coming to the school board members to let us know.
Or the faculty is not.
Faculty might not.
Okay, let's,
Yeah.
yeah, let's,
Yeah.
yep, let's not get into it back and forth here.
I was just gonna say that when this agenda item's over, Paul is here.
Oh, okay, great. All right, does anybody else have anything to say, comment about that? If not, Paul?
Well, Bucky.
I'm sorry.
Bucky.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Bucky.
You're muted.
Oh, you're on mute.
Is there a curriculum committee? I have forgotten. Is there a curriculum committee on the board?
No.
No?
Nope.
I would urge you to consider one.
Okay, thank you.
Stephanie.
Go ahead, Stephanie.
I've noticed that things seem to work best when we know there's a follow-up coming up, and I'm wondering if we can put this on the agenda for an upcoming meeting again, so that we can continue to move forward on this.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea, Stephanie. Absolutely. All right. Sorry.
Bucky.
Was Bucky, is that a new hand or an old hand? You're on mute. If
Need chronological or?
he took his hand down. Okay. Took his hand. All right.
Oh, no, it's okay.
You put it back on?
No,
No hand.
he
No hand.
moved
All
it.
right. Good. All right. Well, let's go back to correspondence and the West River Valley 100% renewable. We have a guest speaker here. Speakers. Oh, sorry, didn't see. Apologies. So yeah, if you would like to go ahead and speak to the letter and all of that and requests.
Start with some introductions. My name is Paul Davis, and I live here in Townsend. I used to teach here at the school and coach, and that's one of my rooms there. I see some students out in the audience. I belong to a group called West River Valley 100% Renewable, and that's a volunteer group that is seeking, sort of cut off by the post here, seeking to promote different renewable projects in the West River Valley, such as solar, changes to heating and cooling situations, and exploring options for electric vehicles. And one project that we are fixed on right now is trying to look at the possibility of electric buses for the school district. As you all are aware, the UN Climate Council and many other bodies have come out with the urgency of trying to keep carbon emissions low. I don't think that's news to anybody. And so one possibility of trying to adjust that and make an impact, particularly with the health benefits towards the students and becoming a symbol of a progressive kind of thinking, is to try to look at or get electric school buses. And you must know, and you've seen it advertised throughout Vermont, there's an urgency there to try to go electric, as it were. And with that campaign to go electric, there's been lots of offerings as far as grants and solutions to changing from diesel to electric. So our group is trying to promote this, and my colleague and I, Mike McCassie, have been looking into different ways that the district could invest in electric buses, who might be assisting us, how many buses would we need, trying to gather some real data, looking at comparisons of kilowatt hours, how much kilowatt hours it would cost compared to diesel. And so our proposal tonight is to ask the school board to develop a task force that can make a recommendation to the superintendent about adopting electric school buses. The task force would be able to access information, financial information that's really not at our disposal, to see how, investing in electric buses, what would be the upfront cost for the district, how long it could be, what would be the time frame to try to recoup that money based on current statistics. So we have sent out a petition to the district. We had 152 people sign the petition positively to try to develop a task force. And we've had statements of support from the Wyndham School Board, the Brookline School Board, to move forward on developing a task force. So we're coming before the board and the public to try to move that forward. Again, developing a task force which would explore the options, the financial options in particular, this is a main concern, and make some recommendations to the board. We know that the transition period would take time because we have diesel buses here, we have a private contractor who runs a transportation service, and so how do we change to, clearly the environment is kind of dictating how things are changing, particularly the cost of diesel fuel. How do we get ahead of that, or how do we plan for that? So this is our approach, to try to develop a task force to explore the options and take however long it is to come up with some possibilities. So Mike, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, my name is Mike Mackesy. I'm a resident of Newfane. Champlain Valley, Franklin, and Barry districts already have electric school buses. So we're not going to be new. There are school buses deployed throughout cold areas, North Dakota, etc. So this is something that is coming our way. What we would like to see is for us to be prepared for it and understand, number one, to develop a plan going forward, from that plan seek grants, and then present that to the community to see if as time goes by we merge our way into this flow of electric vehicles versus fossil fuel driven vehicles, which have been proven to be detrimental to our children and also very expensive long term. Any questions you have for us?
None? Really? So what type of committee or thing you were looking for? A combination, community members, board members?
Good question. Yeah,
Yes.
we were thinking that a task force that combined community members, we'd be willing to lend whatever assistance and share whatever knowledge we've come up with at the moment, or share the resources, and the school board or committee members be part of the task force.
Outside corporations and companies have presented, we have presented our desire to them. We would love to have them come in and do their presentation on what they've done with other school districts, those kind of things. We could incorporate experts in the local area, those kind of things. And again, understanding certainly the heady conversation we've had earlier is paramount and very important immediately. So we're looking long-term with this, a year from now or 6 months from now, if we've got a task force working to develop the plans, that's what we're after.
Have you made any contact with the contractor that's currently servicing our area to see if they would be willing to come on board with any of these ideas?
We have made several attempts to contact the contractor, and we have not had an opportunity to speak face to face. Yes, but we have. Yes, one of the things that I think what we've done so far is try to involve try to be aware of the local involvement and try to involve as many people locally as we can. Not presenting it and saying this is how you have to do it, but trying to get feedback.
So he could be a key to that task force.
So yeah, we definitely have made several efforts to contact.
He's a busy man, I know. Many hats.
Yes. Yes.
Is there federal funding?
There is. VEIC is actually, for the 3 districts that I've spoken about, they've put in $4 million. And so the districts that currently, starting in October of last year, have electric buses, paid exactly what they would for a diesel bus. All the rest was done with grants, predominantly the VW non-conformance grant that was given to the United States and shared with Vermont. $3 million came from that.
Just to add to that, VEIC is Vermont Energy Investment Collaboration Corporation, and they're we have a nice interlude right now, so everyone's standing up and just walk around.
How do you shut these things off?
We planned for this to sort of break the tension.
More relaxed already.
God.
So
Sorry about that.
VEIC is a group that's based in Vermont, but they are sort of a clearinghouse for different monies available, and there are many rabbit holes that you can go down in trying to investigate how to apply for the money and what sort of credentials you need, how much can you get, and so forth. So it's more than what a nonprofit small group can do, and that's another reason to do a task force. But VEIC is based in Vermont. They have an outreach that's national. We've been in contact with a company in Western Mass that also explores funding options, and they're sort of one-stop shopping for electric school buses, and they'll put in infrastructure and so forth. So we've already made some contacts, but we've sort of limited how far we can go with that.
There are various leasing companies out there that will install infrastructure, and they're very interested in Vermont.
So Mike, of the 4 districts that you say have converted to electric,
yes,
are any of those contracting out as we are? Or do they own their own buses?
No.
And there lays the problem.
I believe you have the power of choice, safety and health of the children, and also I believe you supply the fuel. So there is some leverage there. I mean, you're not totally in, as you say, you're not totally in that game as those other districts are, which is why we need to discuss it more.
Right. They are their own entity, and we are not their sole source of business.
Yes.
So that I could definitely see that as being challenging. Would it be your intent, if we are not able to convince them to convert to electric, to actually purchase them ourselves? Is that the extent that you would wish us to go to?
I would leave that up to the task force. We can't make those leaps and come to conclusions without the period of time it takes for all of us to get together to determine that.
I think one of the realizations that we made in exploring the issue is that different districts in different parts of the country have many different ways to try to go greener. And whether the district owns the buses or some combination thereof. But what we see as a task force is trying to explore those different options. If we do this, then we pay this, have a chart compiled over time and explore those issues. We realize that this, the situation that we're looking at right now is a little bit different and it can present some challenges. Yeah.
And there is the most recent study is 2020 that was a master's study by a gentleman. And it says that it will not be in parity with diesel in 10 years for a 10-year period. So you need grants. You have to have the grants. But if you did pay the same amount as a district as the other districts have in Vermont for the bus, there would be some $150,000 to $180,000 savings over the 10-year period. So if you were paying the same thing, you would certainly garner some major savings per year. And also have a very healthy transportation system.
I'm just curious, what is the price of an electric bus and a life expectancy?
The life expectancy is the same as diesel. It's 10 years, and they're with the infrastructure around $400,000. A diesel is $110,000. So that's why the VEIC in Vermont got the 4 buses and paid $300,000 for each bus through their grant process, so that the district only paid the same as they would for a diesel bus. But they garner all of the benefits. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Are you making this presentation to the River Valleys Board as well? I mean, this strikes me as, this should be an SU
WCSU.
task force. You're one step down, I think.
Well, they're all different legal entities. You guys are the largest.
But if the WCSU went, and that to me, just thinking off the top of my head, makes sense where this is gonna do this.
A private contractor and a board having a discussion. Now, making 5 boards that may contract with some things, may own buses for some things.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I'm just saying it
gets more complicated.
Yes.
How many buses does it take us to run our school district right now?
5. I want to say 5. Yeah.
5, yeah.
You gotta have one for breakdowns, so at least.
I think there's 8 that are ready to go, 5 are used on a daily basis.
It's a small grant.
Yeah, 2.4.
Yeah, so to your point, you may need to go to another district and partner with them to get the scale that you might need.
Yep.
So part of the reason for presenting to this group is, as Mike said, the amount of money, probably we mentioned before just briefly, the amount of money that is available now, and for entities that act quickly and clearly, there is money available. So that does.
So the point is the plan.
Yeah.
You can't go for grant money without a plan. So all we're asking is, let's get together and create a plan. Where it goes from there, no one knows, but it has to go to grants after that, and then it would go to the community to see if they really want it.
Okay. Thanks for your questions, and you have any more questions, you can, we have a website, West River Valley 100% Renewable, where you can direct the questions to Al or Bill, and they can get back to us. And thanks for your time.
Thank you so much for your time.
Any questions from this side of the room? All good? Okay. All right. Okay.
Thank you.
Yep. Thanks. Yep.
Appreciate it. Thanks. As we have stepped back in the agenda, let's also step back. I think I saw Ruthie out there, and you don't want to go past your bedtime, so if you wanted to give your student report.
You're muted.
We don't.
Sounds great.
Sorry, we had a I was late. So recently, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday before vacation, then our players had their 10-minute play festival, which went very well. I went to the one Friday night. It was pretty good. A lot of them were actually students had written, and they were student directed too. So that was fun. And then we've also had our NHS raise the bar presentations. So our NHS went to all the grade levels in the school, and they did presentations on like what to be looking forward next year and stuff. Like I did it to the sophomore class going into juniors, and like started looking at colleges and things like that, which was good and stuff. And then we also have our band solo festival, which happened, I actually don't even remember the date, but it's been a long time since we last had that, so that was very fun, and it went pretty well. I mean, without a lot of us having done it in a while. Actually, I'm pretty sure the only ones that had actually ever done it was like the sophomores, juniors, and seniors. I don't even know if the sophomores did it before, so that ran pretty smoothly. And then we're also getting ready for our Six Flags Festival, Trails and Thrills, which is at the end of May, which will be high school going and competing, and we have a few select middle schoolers that are advanced enough to play with it. So that's really exciting. Another thing that had gotten canceled, and this week actually, band and chorus, Mr. Bernard and Miss Wadsworth are taking small groups of us to go perform at the elementary schools. So I'm going Wednesday to Newbrook, and today might have been Wyndham. Tomorrow they're doing Grafton and Townsend, I think. And then we also TRIUM, which is the National Honor Society for Music at our school. We hosted a music night, which was the Tuesday before vacation, which was our second one this year, and it went pretty well. It was about 45 minutes, and we had a lot of students that performed, and we actually had a few teachers like Kevin Burke and Bruce Whitman, which they had a duo, and it was pretty good. And then we've had sports starting. Softball, honestly, I only know the softball record. I don't know the other records, but softball we've had 3 regular season games. So we had our first one, lost our second, and then won our third, and then we had a freshman sophomore scrimmage today. So a lot of those kids got to play, and we won. Yeah, and so that's all going pretty well. And we're all appreciative of the new lighting and ceiling tiles. So thank you, maintenance, for that.
The new lighting, yes. That's right.
Ruthie, how do you like the field?
I like it. It's nice. It's more clean looking and just like flowy. Like before then there was a few cracks, kids not really throwing pencils up and random things. And, there's light bulbs that are in. And I also just want to give a shout out to the maintenance crew, which are amazing, especially Mike and John. John actually at our game today, and just it's really nice to see them out and about and hanging out with kids and stuff, and how involved they are, which is really nice.
Agree. Yeah, how do those fields look? Look pretty amazing?
Yep, good. Actually, this year it's new, but we got LNG logos that go right behind the plate, so that looks really nice. and they're really good. The fields are beautiful. So another thank you to them.
Great report, Ruthie. Anybody have any questions? No? All right, great job.
The middle school girls have their first softball game on Wednesday, so if you guys want to come out and support them, then please do. Boys probably have a game at the same time. I'm not sure my sister's on the middle school girls team, so.
You know the important ones.
Yeah.
Peter, I think you're gonna lose a job here. The announcer. Thank you, Ruthie.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to 21st century after school grants updates.
Yeah, so you guys got a letter in your packet. We did not get the 21 Vermont 21st century grant. Our director, Melissa White, I asked her to, she couldn't be here tonight, to just kind of lay it out for you guys. Essentially, we spent too much money per kid. And so they funded places that spend less money per kid. I'm gonna ask Lori to hop on, because she can explain this better than I can, but as we've been running 21C, part of being able to get the grant is developing a sustainability plan so that you are always preparing for, it's like having a fund balance. And we're at the point now where we're not gonna get any money from the state. We can reapply next year. But we do have some funds available to run a scaled down program, starting with summer, and then seeing what we could do for the school year. But if, Lori, if you could just explain a little bit about the finances, that would be helpful. And if you want to add anything about our meeting with the 21C people, that'd be great.
Sure. The 21C grant is a very rigorous and a competitive application. And to give you some just basic numbers, to sort of explain why we didn't receive funding this year, is the program started back in the 13-14 school year. And we had, at that time, the participants were about regular attendees. 241 regular attendees. Now this included all of the districts except for Wyndham at that point. And then over the years, that has just reduced down, but you still need to run programs, so the cost per student, as you're all aware of your own budgets, goes up. So the grant year 2019, there was only 134 participants. And again, that was all districts except for Dover. And then in 21, we had 32. Of course, there's some COVID issues in there as well. But in 2014, we started a sustainability plan, and that sustainability plan is made up of two different areas. One, there was a Medicaid. You're aware that you receive Medicaid funding. And that was part of the sustainability plan. So anything that was brought in over what was budgeted was basically put in a pot of money for the 21C program. Medicaid has to be used for all students, so it was a perfect opportunity to use those funds in that direction. And then also there's a local portion of 21C. As the grant years went on, the grant actually reduced. So you had to also pay into a local portion of that. So there were occasions when we got extra grant funds that would go against the local portion, or that funds weren't totally expensed. So we also created a fund balance there. So roughly there's about $180,000 as part of our sustainability plan. 45,000 is what we're estimating the summer program will use. And then I really think that there needs to be some thought, the administrators, the parents, a group we need to help figure out what does 21C look like going forward. There are two avenues that can be taken. You can run the program exactly like 21C wants to see it run. There are a lot of stipulations around times, how many certified staff, all of these different regulations that come with the grant. In order to reapply, that would be the best avenue. And then there's also what does the student, or what do the students need? What do parents need? And that is another avenue. Now we're also looking for this next year. There is a bill, I think it's a House Bill, 570, I think it was in that letter, or 740. I don't have that letter in front of me at the moment.
740.
Yeah, okay, so that bill has some money for after-school programming that for places that don't qualify for the 21C grant for exactly the reasons that we didn't qualify. That small, rural, cost per student is too high. So we're looking at that, waiting to hear if that will be, if that will pass. And we're also looking at some other private grants that will go along with that as well to help get us through this next year.
So basically what we're asking the board is to okay $45K from these reserves to go ahead and plan for summer. Engage our current director to start planning for what it could look like next year, seeing what those costs would look like. Go ahead, Lori.
Now, if I could just jump in, the fund balance is not West River's fund balance. It is Wyndham Central's fund balance. That's where the program runs out of. So that I'm not sure that the board needs to make a motion on that, but up to you.
Sounds like we need to bring it up on Wednesday.
Yeah.
And it'll be all new for them. You guys too.
People in their family homes trying to have heat. That was a long time ago. I don't care. I don't care. You guys have to fucking fuck up to reality. And the reality is that vaccine has venom. Snake venom in it. Not only that. Not only that.
Okay.
Welcome everybody back.
We are back for our regular broadcast after a interesting little bit, but
Technical difficulties.
We'll be efficient.
Yeah, that was technically difficult.
We will be very efficient. So yes, where we left off was with the 21C after school grant, and Lori was explaining about the summer program.
Can't hear you in Zoom land.
Oh, cannot?
Nope, Emily says no.
We can now.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay, Emily said no, so.
Lori, do you want to go ahead and resume where you were talking about the needs for summer?
Sure. So the fund balance, which is held at WCSU, because 21C is a WCSU program, is $180,000 that can be attributed to West River. Of that, we anticipate around $45,000 to run the summer program. And that is basically, we need some sort of decision from the WCSU board, or even West River can decide to say that they will use their own fund balance to fund summer program. So that it can, the planning needs to happen now in order to make it for summer.
So we need a motion to ask the WCSU board to use 45 of the 180 and then make a second motion if, for whatever reason, the WCSU board says no, would this board support that 45,000 in fund balance? Is that what I'm hearing you say?
That's what I am saying.
So moved.
Second. Any discussion? Seeing none, we will take a.
This is a one-time, correct?
Yeah.
One time.
Okay.
I seconded.
No, I know, I'm just saying, you are on the WCSU board, so I'll put it on the agenda and you remind me that we have to add it to the agenda, WCSU Wednesday.
Alright.
The ask.
Yep. Very
But
good.
we are gonna go forward and plan, if you guys vote for this. We have a second? Did we vote? I don't know.
We did not vote yet.
Okay, fine.
I know, calm down. It's okay.
I'm rolling.
His adrenaline.
All right.
Okay.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
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 All right, seeing none opposed, motion carries unanimously without Drew though, unfortunately.
I'm sure you would say aye.
We'll bring C to May 11th.
Okay, yes. Yep, thank you.
D, I have administrator contracts, so Johanna is taking another job. I think she sent you guys all a letter.
She did.
We have a candidate that we have interviewed, the interview committee recommended. Bob supports and spent the day here at Leland and Gray. And so I would like to be able to offer that person a contract along with our 3 remaining administrators. So I need permission. You want me to tell you about the person or?
Sure.
Sure, well, why not?
The gentleman's name is Dana Aquadro. He's currently the assistant principal at Bellows Falls Middle School. He has 18 years of experience in education and has been administrator for over a decade. He was very well liked by the interview committee and had a wonderful day spending time with people here at Leland and Gray. And we're very excited to offer him a contract. So he'll be one of the contracts and then a contract for Craig, a contract for Scotty, and a contract for Bob. But I need permission from the board chair, from the board, to be able to sign those contracts.
Are these 1-year contracts?
These are well, everybody has a different contract.
Okay.
Bob has an evergreen contract. Scotty has, this will be the second year of a 2-year. And the new person will have a 2-year. And Craig has a 1-year. And they're all within the budget that was approved by the
Board.
The board
And the
and
public.
the public.
So you need a motion for the board to approve me signing.
For administrative contracts.
So moved.
Seconded.
Got a good team.
All right, any discussion?
Get her done.
Seeing none, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 Carries unanimously.
So we have continuous improvement plans that we have for not only the SU, but for each individual school. So they're not just by district, they're by school. They are 3 years. So our current CIPs are 22 through 24, but the Agency of Education, under a federal mandate, requires that each year, even though they're a 3-year plan, and they can be changed and they are living documents, each year they must be approved. So the principals have shared all of the continuous improvement plans with you all. Because they were 3-year plans when they were written, there's no substantial changes to when you approved them last year. But this is a procedural maneuver that must be done and documented at each meeting. So my recommendation or my ask would be that you approve the individual school district continuous improvement plans for 2022 to 2023. Part of the multi-year plan.
Do I have that motion?
So moved.
I was gonna say it, but I was trying to give someone else a chance.
I was
I'll
just
second
waiting for you.
Any discussion?
I just have a question, so like if they get approved and then an issue comes up, can they be modified as?
Always.
Always. Okay.
Always. They're intentionally a living document.
Great question. All right, anything else? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And
I think I said aye. All right, I think that's it for new business, right?
Yes.
All right, moving on to old business, approved minutes of March 14th, 2022.
So moved.
Negative.
Any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, moving on to principal reports.
They're gone.
They are no longer here.
They were provided to you in writing?
Yeah. Yes, they were.
If you have anything that you had real great interest in, I would encourage you to reach out to those individual principals.
Well, send them an email this month.
I just want to kind of speak on behalf of Bob in particular. I'm just so impressed with everything that's going on around here in terms of the grounds. I'll reiterate what Ruthie said. Just amazing. The fields look great. We have all kinds of plans now for the basketball court, for the tennis courts. I think some kids and folks will be really surprised at the end of the summer when they come back to pretty much a brand new campus. It's gonna look amazing, above and beyond lighting as well.
Well,
The
you
lighting
guys
is
have
great.
been, as a board, have been supportive and sustainable in your investment over the past 3 to 4 years of maintenance and improvements and efficient expenditures on the environment of the building. So I would say that it goes back to you guys.
Great. Anybody else? Superintendent report.
So we provided the superintendent's cabinet report for you all. The one thing I would just like to highlight is that last week, the weighting study did pass out of the House Ways and Means on an 11-0 vote, following the implementation of updating the weights, not creating a new system. As Emily well knows, until it goes to the very, very end, it is not a done deal, but it is a big deal to have two both the Senate and the House have some agreement, and Emily might be able to speak to this if necessary, but I don't know if there'll be a need for a committee of conference based on the details, but the overarching progress towards implementing the weights as the study from 2019 proposed is really positive for the West River District. Now, the devil will be in the details. How's it implemented? How long? How many years is it rolled out? What does that all look like? But it will be a net positive for the communities and students of West River.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Remind me, somebody, on the excess spending threshold, whether or not that language also remain in there, and I believe it was for 5 years.
It's out.
It's out. Entirely?
During the transition of the implementation as a minimum. So if it's a 3-year implementation, right now it's written as a 5-year implementation, and the language in the law, or the proposed law, is it is suspended during that transition process.
You scared me, Emily, when you said it was out. I was like, oh no, I thought we were going to be enforced, but no. Okay, got it. No excess spending threshold. That's great. Fantastic news. Any other questions for Bill?
Just so you know, it's on notice tomorrow, and it'll be up on the floor on Wednesday, Thursday.
Oh, that's great. Perfect. Well, hopefully Wednesday, we might have news on Wednesday night then. WCSU. Great.
Final passage Thursday.
Oh, okay. Got it. Great. Approve the financials. Do we have some financials?
You get the number, Dana?
Yeah. How many did we had 2, right, outstanding, right? Or did we?
No, it's just the one.
Just the one.
Just the one, and I forgot to print it out, so I did sign it and send it to Terry, but I forgot the number.
AP voucher number 39 for, can you read that? I don't have my glasses on.
Teamwork.
$1,035,850.97.
In small print.
Second?
I'll second it. I might catch you.
I don't care either way.
Discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor of approving financials in the amount of what Dana said.
1,000.
1 million.
1,000, yes,
It's hard
sir.
to read that, that is
Thousands
tiny.
easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I see right now.
It's
1,035,250.97.
That number.
Aye.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, unanimous, thank you.
I should remember my glasses.
All right, long-term planning update. Who would like to, go ahead. I've talked enough tonight, or Suzanne, yeah, Suzanne. If you would be so willing to give us an update of all the fantastic work that you've done. And you're on mute if you're saying anything. There you go.
Can you guys hear me?
Yep, gotcha.
Okay. I'm actually had a delayed flight from my vacation, so I'm in Orlando currently at a airport hotel waiting for a new flight home. So I'm a little scattered, but we're working hard on communications and trying to basically reach as many people as we can, and specifically, I think, those that are not in the school community. We heard that in the last meeting. You know, if you're not getting principal emails, you're not getting the newsletters coming home, where are they finding the information? So we're working on designing a postcard that will go to all the residents that live in towns, so that, and it will be very kind of high level, really simple stuff, schedule and just like the goals and things of the group, and then they can go into the website and then hopefully join meetings and get involved and, you know, put their ideas out there. I mean, that's what I'm doing in terms of long-term planning, but I can't speak to the other work really. I know the task force are working, but I don't know how that's going quite yet.
I can give you a little update on the elementary task force met for the first time today. It's a big group and we seem to have a good game plan in place, and we'll be meeting weekly on, what's today, Mondays.
Mondays from 4 to 5.
From 4 to 5.
We freed up Mondays for you.
There you go. I think we have a good game plan, and there's obviously a whole lot to dive into and discuss, but it's a good group of, there's community members, teachers, staff, administrators, non-parent community members, so like people that don't have kids in the school district, and board members, obviously. So I'm looking forward to it.
That's good.
Lots of
That's
work.
Awesome. Thank you. Appreciate it. And we do have our next full long-term planning meeting on May 2nd. So at 7 o'clock. So please join those.
Right here.
Right here. Yes, sir.
Just because I don't see anyone more appropriate to share out, as most of them have departed for reasons. The high school or secondary school one will be happening this Wednesday at 3. And that's about as much as I know. The Principals Advisory Committee for HEAL met earlier today. We talked about it a little bit, about really hoping to get students there. Though that day unfortunately does have games across the board. But so I think it was gonna be talked about hopefully trying to see if there's times and making sure that students are able to attend a little bit more, unlike the scheduling conflict that is coming up. So that is what I know about it, but I'm not an official member. I just don't see any official members. So that is your update.
Thank you.
That's very helpful.
Yes, thank you.
That is correct, because I'm on that.
Okay.
So there's an official member. There's an official member.
So yeah, we are doing a Zoom meeting from 3 to 4.
3 to 4. Oh, it is via Zoom, okay.
Yes, just this one time because Bob has to be out of town.
Okay, great. Yep. No, that's fantastic. All right, a lot going on. Appreciate it, folks. I don't think there's anything else. So at this point.
Yes, so we should just explain. So we're gonna go into executive session. And so when we go into executive session, it's the board and whoever they invite for that executive session. And we won't record it, and nothing will happen. Everybody else has to leave. You can wait out there at the end of executive session. No decisions can be made in executive session, no motions can be made. So if the board decides to make a motion after the executive session, they would end executive session, they would come out, we would go back live on BCTV, go back live for minutes, and if there was a motion or a decision or discussion, it would happen at that time. But once the board goes in, they will invite whoever they want in, and everybody else has to vacate.
Linda Bastion from Townsend. I just would like to speak in support of the Bills family and all they've been through. And I just ask you to please, please, please consider their request to have their tuition paid.
That was perfect, right before executive session. So you need to make a motion.
I will move that we go into executive session.
Do we need our administrators in on this one? Since I
will be going to retrieve them.
Okay. All you gotta do is yell out the bathroom window, they're right below it.
I'll second the motion to go into executive session.
Yeah.
All those in favor?
Does everybody have?
Yes.
Al, that's you. All those in favor?
Yes, aye.
Thank you. So we have come out of executive session, and coming out of executive session, we would like to direct the superintendent to consult with the attorney, and that's number one. And number two, certainly hearing the sense of urgency from folks today, we are definitely going to continue the conversation on during our next meeting on May 11th. We'll have thoughts on continuous improvement with policies, procedures, et cetera, addressing this. So, and culture and climate.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, the board is not making a decision tonight, but is directing the superintendent to consult with the attorney in order to make a decision. Okay.
Correct.
And it'll be my responsibility to communicate with Ms. Bills when the board will be putting this on for another opportunity for Ms. Bills to come and hear the board's decision. Does that make sense?
I guess. So we don't know when that's gonna be. It could be a month, could be 3 months, 5 months, 6 months.
I will contact the attorney tomorrow, and I will seek the advice of the attorney, and I would expect May 11th is probably the time that I would shoot for. That's their next board meeting. But I will be in direct communication with you, and you can always follow up with me.
Okay. All right, that is it. Next meetings we have are May 2nd for the long-term planning, and then on
May 11th.
May 11th.
Yeah,
May 11th.
I have May 16th here, but yes, it is May 11th.
Because we moved it.
Regular board meeting. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So
Second.
Second, Mike. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 Thank you.